The former Defense Minister General Theophilus Yakubu Danjuma, known as T.Y. Danjuma, recently shared his views on the herdsmen attack in Taraba State. In his words, "You must rise to protect yourselves from these people. If you depend on the armed forces to protect you, you will all die one by one." However, the military has come out to warn Nigerians not to listen to the former chief of army staff, saying that the Nigerian army is constitutionally charged with the responsibility of defending the territory and integrity of Nigerians, and they'll aid the civil authority whenever they can, they're required to. Now, joining us on the show is a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Libros Oshoma. Welcome to the show, Libros.
My pleasure.
Welcome, sir. Great to see you.
Now, when this news broke out, everybody was wondering what's going on. All weekend, people are, according to online, tables are shaking all over the place. So some people have no idea who this general is. So Jumoke is going to give us just a few pointers. So those of you who are clueless on who T.Y. Danjuma is and why this conversation is important, Jumoke will let us know who this general is. Tell us, Jumoke.
Okay, so he was at the primary convocation of Taraba State University, and after he made that speech, the military, when they responded, they just called him an elder statesman. And I was wondering, what's the definition of hate speech? If it was Jumoke, won't they pick her up for saying something like that? So I Googled him. He's going to be 80 in 2018. His father was a farmer who also sold farm metals. He got a Northern Scholarship to study history in the College of Art, Science and Technology, now ABU, in Zaire, but dropped out of school to join the Nigerian Army in 1960. He was part of the counter coup of July 1966 that saw to the death of Agoyin Rossi and Adekunle Ifajui. In 1975 to 1979, he was chief of army staff under head of state Obasanjo. He retired in 1979, went into business. In 1995, he started the South Atlantic Petroleum. Now, in democracy, 1999 to 2003, under President Obasanjo, he was Minister of Defense. But 3 years later, in 2006, he spoke against the third-term ambition of President Obasanjo. In July 16, 2014, as the chairperson of the Victims Support Funds Committee under President Jonathan, he said to him, "We're losing the war against insurgents. It's taking too long." He was a supporter of the President Buhari ambition in 2015.
Okay.
And some people say that if there's a cabal at all in Nigeria,
right,
T.Y. Danjuma is that cabal, and that he has the ears of the president. So why would he say this publicly?
Right. So for those who don't know T.Y., that's a bit of a background. Now, going to the statement he made, that is causing everybody to talk. Let me start with our guest, Libros. We heard we're releasing a few of your statements. Why is this comment so dicey at this point, especially because Obasanjo had come out earlier in January with a letter? General Ibrahim Babangida also came out to say we should look for a younger leader. Is it like these generals are having a meeting together and say, you know what, this is time for us to talk? What's your perception on him talking at this time? Let's not even go to the content yet. Why is he talking at this time?
Thanks to Jumoke for so those bullet point introduction. If you know the person of T.Y. Danjuma, he's been consistent with. He's not a good talker. He's not somebody who he's not flippant also. Yeah. And then at every turn, he tries to lend his voice to national issues, most especially, close to elections like this. He did it with Obasanjo, who was his very close friend. He did it with Jonathan, even though he was appointed to chair a committee under Jonathan. I remember even during the inauguration of that committee, he said that he will only go to Sambisa Forest if the commander-in-chief, who was Jonathan, will lead them.
Right.
Yes.
That statement also was very instructive. And then he now also making this statement, which a lot of us have been making. And look, the way we are going, we are gradually degenerating into a state of lawlessness. And in a state of lawlessness, according to Fidel Castro, it is illegal to be law-abiding.
This is a fair statement, looking at the fact that we have people who have died in the war for us, who are people who are there. We are here in the comfort of our houses and our homes, but people are there in the war front fighting for us, keeping us safe. Is it a fair statement to just assume that everything
May I build on
is
that?
is a
fair
hoax?
statement that the likes of T.Y. Danjuma, who have survived, because they say, the brave ones die, who have survived several wars and coup attempts, call for anarchy in a country where Nigerian soldiers are dying on a daily in the war front, and their families are losing their breadwinners and nothing is happening. Is it a fair statement when T.Y. Danjuma, whose family can be safely tucked somewhere abroad, call for a self-help and a state of anarchy like this, tell people to carry arms, when the war comes, people who are secure, who can secure themselves and their families, call for this kind of statement?
Before he answers quickly, I think there are certain information that T.Y. Danjuma knows that is not available to the public. Yeah. In every country, there are security informations that are not available to the public.
Right.
So let us not crucify the messenger first of all. Let us take cognizance
I take exception.
The information he has given,
right,
and find ways to move and start acting first of all before we crucify the messenger.
Quickly, there are two issues here. Soldiers are dying, innocent citizens are dying. So that's the issue here. So you need to strike a balance. And so that's why, for me, I will not praise T.Y. Danjuma. I will not condemn him. What this statement should do to all of us is a sober reflection. How did we get to where we are, that now the value of life is so meaningless that our soldiers can die in droves. Our private citizens can die, like chickens. And that the primary responsibility of government is the security and welfare of the people. Not just security and welfare of soldiers, not just security and welfare of government, not just security and welfare of citizens, but the entire people.
Yes.
And so, if this is not the time for us to begin to look at who made the statement, oh, you are secure. Ordinarily, T.Y. Danjuma can afford to take his family, even his entire clan, abroad and say, it's not my business. Right. And so they are protected. But also, in protecting ourselves, people should also understand that both the man who carries arms against innocent citizens and those innocent citizens who are carrying arms against those people, it's a crime against the state.
Yes, it is.
Both are crimes against the state.
Let me jump in here.
Okay. I have issues with the personality of T.Y. Danjuma, because you see this insurgency thing is largely a war. It's not a war of arms for me. I think it's a war of intelligence. With his pedigree, his history in the army, I know information like this Obiajulu mentioned now that is exposed to. He could assist the army in winning this war if he was giving the advice to the right authorities. But you see, when we come out publicly and abuse the privilege that we have, and I see this elder statesman thing as a privilege that is being abused here, you come out and you call for anarchy like this. You say, take it into your own hands, take your security into your own hands. And when the people go into that, they confront the states, they confront the supremacy of the country itself.
Okay.
Quickly. Sorry. You see, it's getting to a point where it's like a vote of no confidence on the state. A situation where the president admitted that, the killings in Taraba are more than the ones in Benue. That was a statement from Mr. President. And what was done to ensure, and the very next day, you hear 21 people killed in these same places. And then you get to Benue, you say, I sent the IG here, I didn't know that he didn't go.
2 months after.
And then later we heard the IG was queried, and the same police came out to say, no, the IG was not queried. And, so gradually what you're telling people, it's, look, the position we are in now, we can't defend you. So that's why, for me, I think, and then what some of these elder statesmen do, when it's time like this, to win back the confidence of their people, they come out to make statements. That's why I said, I won't praise him, I won't condemn him. But the question is, the issues raised.
I agree with you.
Is it the truth?
See, okay, let me come to Jumoke for a second. Yes,
so, we saw the January 1st killings, right, in Benue, and nobody did anything about it. And our commander-in-chief did not go there until after 2 months. And I gave the history of T.Y. Danjuma to say that this messenger Regardless of that, they say, hey, he has oil well, he has all the money in Nigeria. He has a history in Nigerian army. Why will he go against his first constituents? There's a book on him, written in 1975, Danjuma, The Making of a General. I think everyone should read that book on him. So, if he's saying, defend yourself.
I think it's a slap on the face. It's a slap on my face, Jumoke.
If
Tell me, how do I should go and buy a gun? How do I defend myself?
Morayo.
It's a slap on my face.
Morayo.
Tell me to defend myself.
I think
don't you
the
respect?
question is more.
A personality of T.Y. Danjuma can use the right authority. I'm always saying the due process way. Can use the right process that we have on ground to remove a president if you think things are going wrong.
Which
you
right
can
process are you
advise
talking about?
advise the National Assembly to look into the sections that allow removal and impeachment.
Which
if you
National
think the
Assembly?
Let's go on a
president
break.
is not,
We'll let you respond.
does not
Let me
have
go on a
the
quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So this is a really intense conversation because when this news broke out, I will not lie to you, I was scared as a Nigerian citizen. Nothing but fear came about me because it was almost telling me that we might become Somalia. I remember the whole time of Somalia. I looked out my window and I saw my streets filled with people from Borno who are securing my entire streets. And they're not friendly, they're not really particularly nice, they just mind their business, and they have this look of, I started looking at faces, I'm trying to understand, are these guys my friends, or are they here waiting for instruction from somewhere? So that's the fear that statement put into me as a citizen. So it's one thing to say, yes, they crucify the messenger or look at the message, but that message really, really carried a lot of weight. And we can't act as if it didn't happen.
Can I quickly add before you say something? The message in itself is a message that I think the military should not just come out to defend themselves and tell us what they are doing. I think it's a message that they need to sit down and say, okay, now these are allegations that has been raised. What do we do? If peradventure, 1% that is possible that our military are being infiltrated. How do we fight this? How do we curb this? They said that in their response. They did. They said if you have information, bring it to them.
I don't think they should be giving responses at the moment. I think they should go back to the drawing board.
So
look in the military and see what they can do.
They should ask questions. They shouldn't be responsible, but they should ask questions. If the military that is made up of Hausa, Igbo, every diverse tribes, and you're saying that there's a cleansing agenda, ethnic cleansing as against one ethnic group, you need to prove it.
Yes.
You need to come out and put your mouth where your money
Danjuma
is.
did not say Taraba people.
He said people.
Nigerians. He used the word Nigerians. It's like a judge looking at the bench, looking at the legal profession and saying, this is not the legal profession I used to know. Okay. It's the same thing, T.Y. Danjuma saying, this is not the army I served. That the army that you have now is partial. The army has taken side.
Wisdom.
This was not the same army
I used to know.
I used to know. And so the question for me is, what are we saying there is no insecurity?
There is,
like you sit down, even in Lagos, we employ OPC,
for our
private guards
estates.
to gather. What gave rise to us employing, even in our villages, you have civil defense. What gave rise to all of these groups coming together? It's because the people feel the way things are going, it's becoming almost impossible for government to protect them. And so, to that end, the people are taking reasonable steps to protect themselves. Government also had come out consistently to say security is all encompassing.
Yes.
But where the problem is, if you take a stock of people that have died in the north as a result of this crisis, from 2010 till date, Morayo, you will weep. And so also, I traveled to Kano. I dare not come out in my hotel room because I don't understand the language. I also don't feel too secure. I know how many people that have had to relocate from these places to Abuja, to Lagos, because of insecurity. So that's why I will say the issue is not oh, Tiwa Danjuma, or you don't like this government, or you don't like Buhari. If there is security, you won't have cause to begin to raise issues
Okay,
like
T.Y.
this.
Danjuma, the man, is a very taciturn person. Everyone agrees that he just doesn't talk. He must have something to say before he talks. And I said how, while he was the Minister of Defense under President Buhari, Obasanjo, he spoke against President Obasanjo's third-term bid. He was the chairperson of a committee under President Jonathan and still spoke against him. A lot of people believe that he funded President Buhari's presidency. So why will he come and talk against him and his government? Now, some other people say that he has the ears of the president. He should go and advise. And as a former Chief of Army Staff and Minister of Defense, he can call the present Minister of Defense, the present Chief of Army Staff, without saying all of these things that will make you and I afraid. But then again, what if he has been saying it and nobody heard him? Now, T.Y. Danjuma, who has fought in many wars in Nigeria, many wars, including the Nigerian Civil War, he fought on behalf of Nigeria. Why will he denigrate, dismember his first constituency? So leave the man and focus on the message. Now, insecurity in Nigeria, what's the solution? What's the way forward?
My question is,
we know, it's not self-help.
No matter how nicely constructed it is, it doesn't mean that I'm going to carry arms and protect myself.
No, I think
that an average Nigerian is not even trained to help themselves.
I think
we will have more bloodshed if you look at it critically.
Quickly.
And it will be expected of someone of his caliber to be calling on the right authorities, which is usually the National Assembly.
And say it openly.
We don't have a president that is up to par. Do the right thing.
Yes.
Sir,
Let me let Libros come on in. Yeah.
See, when certain statements are made, it behoves on government now to quickly take steps to correct the reason why those statements are made.
Okay. Channel them.
And rechannel your efforts. Maybe you are not doing enough. So that, because we all know that it is almost a practical impossibility for us to begin to go everywhere with guns to protect ourselves. But then also, in the same vein, there are people who are dying in droves, who are not sure whether they will live till tomorrow. Like Wole Soyinka said, during the war, we're all casualties of war.
Yes.
So in the time of crisis, there are some people who are died by installment. Even fear, the fear of death sometimes, even kills faster. And so what government should be doing when statements like these are made, it's look, we'll take effort, we double our effort. We have consistently said, even the government also accepted that we are under-policed.
Yes.
And as we speak now, our army are fighting, both internal. They are overworked.
Yes,
And
both
so
internal and external.
They are overworked. So what do we do to ensure that we stem the tide? Let me quickly give you an example. In Benin recently, when this issue of...
Can I pause you for a quick second? I have a call from Castina. Okay.
Please, I want to contribute here.
Go ahead.
As one of my sisters said here, that this gentleman, T.Y. Danjuma, is a close friend of President Buhari. If there is anything he feels is going bad, why don't he call his friend or his colleague to talk to him and say, my brother, this is what is happening? You see, the problem we have in Nigeria today is most of your TV stations sometimes invite people who do not have facts on the ground. Like my respected gentleman said, he went to Kano and he was afraid to come out of his hotel because of fear. But why don't you ask some of the Southerners or Westerners that are staying in Kano, how safe are they there? Maybe it's this kind of statement by Danjuma that makes him fear that if I go to Kano or Sokoto, if I come out, something will happen to me. But we are staying here peacefully with our brothers from the east, from the west, and what is happening here?
Right. Okay. All right.
So I quickly need to say something. Even if I go to Port Harcourt, it is the same thing for me.
Right.
Not because the place is not safe, but because of the insecurity. There is no day in Nigeria that you pick up a newspaper that you don't hear of killings somewhere, kidnapping, that it is so bad now to even drive to Benin. It's a problem. You want to fly because you hear of kidnapping on that route. You're almost, on a weekly basis. So these are issues of insecurity.
Nationally.
And that insecurity quickly is no longer a thing you just we need to hide it. It affects all of us.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take some more phone calls and tweets. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
In ones.
Okay.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's take some tweets, please. Jumoke?
Ogumoro Tigbenga says, when we are put in darkness about security in this country and people are killed like fowl and chicken, no serious step was taken to prevent the killing, we're complaining. Now, there's someone who understood what the system settings are. Let's think. Ayodeji says, do you think we have a listening government? There's a series of open letters to advise the government what has happened.
Kemi Oluloyo says, T.Y. Danjuma killed Uncle Kunle Fadri when he was hosting our leader, Ironsi. And Theodore is still mourning. Danjuma is talking from both sides of his mouth as he's from Taraba. Why didn't he say that when Nnamdi Kanu was saying it?
Omogbonlawon says T.Y. Danjuma was the defense minister when Zaki Biam massacre in Benue State happened. He's the defense minister when Odi community in Bayelsa was obliterated. The statement coming from such a man, a retired senior military man, was unstatesmanly. Don says, how many of these Fulani killers have been caught? You only hear what is happening in the north and your imagination is vague about it. T.Y. Danjuma is from Taraba. No good patriot will fold his hands while his people are being slaughtered.
Okay, let me take this call from Yakub. Yakub, are you there?
Oh, sorry.
I think we
Don
lost
Christopher. Okay, go ahead.
Kehinde Nafi says T.Y. Danjuma's assertion leaves much to be desired as it is capable to destabilize the country's prestige.
So who's going to arrest him? Because this is almost like hate speech. Who can arrest?
That's why, for me, you see, we treat some people as though they are above the law. Ordinarily, if this statement were coming from...
By Jumoke now.
By this morning, in fact, by yesterday,
they would have carried me.
It was a letter that Kazim wrote on behalf of his boss. And
he was arrested.
The boss was left. They didn't touch the boss.
The police and the DSS were looking for him, but they left the boss. The same way now, you say, T.Y. Danjuma is another statesman. And so, but what he said is not the truth. And nobody will invite him to say, okay, yes, what informed this statement? Who informed you that we are taking sides so that we know how to address the root cause? We won't do that. And so when you don't do that, it gives room for rumors also to fester.
Let me take this call. Mariam.
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Interesting topic, I must say. Okay, I'm looking at it from this angle. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, listen very clearly.
Yes. Danjuma may have spoken the truth, according to some of you, but let us not allow this government to play with our psyche.
Okay.
You were there. You have always been there.
Yes.
And you didn't put down a structure. You know what structure does for you? He appeals the person who has put it there.
Yes.
So what he's saying in essence is that there has never been structure. He's saying this is not the army I used to know. What did you do to make sure that you put a structure that will outlive you? It's not about living and somebody else comes and you want to badmouth people.
Yes.
America, we watch crime and investigation every day. People carry arms in America every day. People are killed senselessly every day. Children will tell you, because my mother said I should not eat a bar in America, so I killed her. They are trying to put bills across that will stop this because these are insensitive killings. And somebody in an African country that has not even developed that, where people are not even educated enough to understand things, will come and tell us.
Okay,
thank you very much.
The self-help that I saw was Governor of Ekiti State, Fayose, saying that we're not going to sit down and wait for herdsmen to come to Ekiti State. So he armed the hunters.
Okay.
So are we going to if somebody of T.Y. Danjuma's clout is saying what he's saying, should we in all the other no,
okay,
that's
hold
not
on.
the point I'm driving at is if they kept on killing people in Taraba, and he's saying if you do not defend yourself, all of you will die.
Off.
So he's saying
for me, the self-help.
Let me come to Nima.
I will not enjoy this show closing without me saying this. Some people are already stockpiling arms. You see, the fear for me is when I have the power of a gun and I abuse the right to life of somebody based on a mere suspicion. Because of this ethnic thing that we put on crimes. You know, I say it on this couch all the time that there's killing, herdsmen killing. It is a crime. It is not full and don't ethnicize anything.
Okay.
Because that mere suspicion can empower someone with a gun to take the life of another person and abuse that life. It is that abuse, that line of abuse that makes me sit here and say it was reckless and irresponsible of T.Y. Danjuma to call for that kind of anarchy in Taraba State.
First of all, when you get a
we
message,
have a right authority, we have a police, we have the system.
Right.
Call that the system is correct.
hold on.
Use.
First of all, when you get a message, let us understand the perspective. Where is this person? Let us empathize with the person who's giving this message. He's definitely speaking out of anger. What are we getting out of it? This is where I expect the government to work.
Okay.
Take action.
Okay.
Now direct people away. I'm not
Take
after
action. Arrest him
self-help.
first
I'm
for
not,
inciting.
hold on. I'm not after self-help.
Danjuma, who's your father?
Direct it in such a way that you tell the people
Let me let our guests round
no
up.
self-help, but this is what we are going to be doing from now onwards.
Labros, in conclusion.
Our leaders are all reckless, both in their utterances and in their
Behavior, their
conduct. You see, I said something off camera, and I said when this human trafficking, you know, when it was so rife that, oh, this is from Benin, the Oba of Benin, you know, took steps to say, look, we need to correct this impression so that people don't go with the impression that average Benin person, you know, is involved, is a trafficker. And I expected government, the moment this issue of Fulani killings started, I expected government also to say, look, this does not represent who we are. And so we should bring out the perpetrators and not to be sermonizing about it. The gun running in America, you hear people now saying, look, the IRA, are you going to collect money from them? Are you going to collect support from them? You know, that this gun issue should be checked.
Right.
But here, what are we doing to ensure that this senseless killing will turn the tide? Because not just the ordinary people, even you hear when we hear that policemen, army died in the hands of Boko Haram or herdsmen, we see it as a normal thing. It is not normal. You know, government really need to sit down, do a sober reflection, and ask how did we get here and how do we get out of it.
All right, unfortunately, that's all we can take on the show. Thank you very much, Library. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. That's all we can take. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Don't forget, Wednesday is our live audience. If you want to be here, please come early. We can only take about 30 people, so come early, dress properly, so you can be on the show. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.